Good Friday morning, Caleb. We are looking at DaVinci Resolve again. We're drinking a cherry Pepsi Zero. Maybe we're looking at DaVinci Resolve, see if it launches. There we go. Any day now, DaVinci Resolve. Okay. So today we're going to talk about some thoughts I had about this image. And basically what I've been thinking about is image neutrality. More like image legibility. So there's this great book called, it's on my phone here. Wait a second, we got a problem. Window. Float on top, that's what we're looking for. All right. Might be a little bit small here. We're going to put me right here in the curves section because we don't care that much about the curves at the moment. Okay. Anyway. So this image, I was out for a walk yesterday evening and snapped this one on my Leica M10D at ISO 200, 1/1000th of a second. Don't know why it says f2.97 because it was wide open f1.4 on my 35mm Similux. So yeah, beer cans. That's kind of what I say. I do street photography, but what I mean by that is cats and beer cans. So if we go like this, we go show picker RGB value. You can see that this area, which should roughly be white, is roughly white, right? But I want to make sure it's really neutral. And like this black up here, not really neutral. This black here, not really neutral. Because what I've come to the conclusion is, and I was going to mention this book. Let me open it up on my phone here. So in iBooks, we've got some compelling content here. Boy, let me tell you. No, so Color Correction Handbook, second edition by Alexis Van Herkman. And in chapter 8 of the Color Correction Handbook, he talks about memory colors, but he also talks about just like color perception of, move my microphone here. Color perception. Microphone, how's that? Doing awesome. Just totally prepared today. Okay, so color perception, human color perception, the only one we're really interested about. We don't really talk about animal color perception all that much in color correction because besides cats, I don't know any animals that watch television. But anyway, he talks about the idea of legibility. Basically says, as we learned, he says, what is discriminability? Discriminability describes the ease with which a viewer can discern the important details and subject in the image. A picture is unlikely to be judged of high quality if the items it contains are not distinguishable. From this point of view, image quality can be judged as a balance between naturalness and discrimination. I suggest that discriminability is based on the interaction between the three image characteristics that have been covered in previous chapters. As we learned in Chapter 3, increased contrast aids the perception of image sharpness and edge detail, which enhances boundaries, adding legibility. So we got a little bit of contrast, not a ton. In chapter 4, we saw how color contrast, not just contrast, further assists the separation of one subject within the frame from others. Now here we have, the possibility of color contrast because we got kind of this dry grass and we got these 3 crushed beer cans. What this scene is on the side, just down the street from a house. They're tearing up the roads and doing like sewer line maintenance or something. So they got the road all torn up. And the sidewalk is just like right out of frame in front of us. And this is just the dry grass on the side of the road. You can see the phone pole tie down cable here. You can see a little bit of orange paint where they were doing, putting marks and stuff about where the sewer lines are, maybe, I don't know. And then after work, perhaps some of the boys were kicking back some, looks like Bud Ice, some beer of some sort. And I don't know why, but I just love, for a few years now, my street photography has consisted mostly of cats and beer cans. Basically, I think it's a Philip K. Dick quote that, something about trash stratums and art and crushed beer cans. It's, I don't know, a lot of dumb, useless shit floating around in the old noggin here. And so, anyways, beer cans. Got a lot of pictures of beer cans. Is it a good picture? Obviously not. But it made me think a lot about this discriminability. Finally, the third part of discriminability is artificial shadow enhancement using vignette to reduce the effects of equiluminance, where the tonality of a subject is too close to that of the surrounding to be clearly discernible to the audience's luminance sensitive where visual system, like where is a thing, right? And he shows kind of a 3 images. It's the same image, but one's got a real strong cast, one's getting towards neutral, and one's like bang on neutral. And essentially, it got me thinking that if you want to really push an image, like you want to put a lot of color, because I prefer black and white, but if I'm going to do a color image, I prefer it to be just color, like a lot of saturation, right? But that doesn't really work that good if the image isn't neutral. I've come to the conclusion that the closer your image is to just truly spot on neutrality color-wise, the more you can kind of push a look, right? Which is kind of, it seems like the opposite. I was watching some show with my wife the other evening, and it was just this real weird green/gold cast. It's kind of like the old teal and orange, but it was green and gold. And I'm like, oh, what in the hell is going on with this? I feel like color grade colorists these days don't feel like they've done their job unless you can see from a mile away what they did. And I prefer subtlety, surprisingly. You wouldn't probably never know. But anyways, so this is, I always leave my camera in, I shoot raw and I shoot in daylight white balance. So this is pretty close to the evening. We're getting pretty close to sunset, pretty close to the right white balance just off the bat, right? You can see down here my color correction settings. Actually, no, this is the custom look. So the other look would be something like this. This would be like what it looked like as shot, right? A little more of a cast. It's got kind of this orangey yellow cast over it, which, our neutral whites here are way off, or what's supposed to be neutral blacks here, way off. But if we hit Control Z and undo that, get back to the setting that I landed upon. And the way I landed upon this is by, work to charm, gallery. So if we wipe this, there we go. So the neat thing is you just add an extra node and you go down here to your RGB mixer, click on monochrome, gives you a monochrome image. And yeah, the monochrome image is useful because what we do is we zoom in a bunch to where we can look at the thing that we want to be neutral. Here it is right here, right? And we can slide this border between our reference still that we got to by clicking on this. Our reference still and our monochrome image. Now, as you can see, our reference still and our monochrome image ought to match up a little bit. This is maybe a little bit green, so we'll go for a raw and we'll adjust our tint because you can, you know, play around a little bit, get that something like that, maybe. I'm just judging by eye on my monitor, obviously, but you can also go like this, show picker RGB value. We just have to change over to qualifier and we can see our RGB value. Look at that. Pretty freaking close. Pretty good, right? Our black value, also very close. In my experience, you're never going to get it 100% perfect, but you want to get it as close as you can. And then once we've got that, we hit Z to get out to full screen again. We click on this to get rid of our wipe, and we can say, yeah, our color balance is dialed in, right? So my first node here, that was basically all I was doing was color balance. And because you want to adjust your white balance before you do any brightness adjustments, tonal value adjustments. And then these two nodes are a exposure adjustment, essentially, because what this is my move this over here. What this is as you can see, a ramp again and a blend mode of, or a composite mode of screen. So screen makes, if you take the same image and combine it with itself in a screen composite mode, it's going to make things brighter. But I've got that ramped down, so we're really only brightening the lightest parts of the image. In fact, we can take this down a little bit more, and it's going to just brighten up the bottom half of the image and leave the highlights where they are. Nothing's really threatening to clip here. There's a well-exposed image. Not to pat myself on the back, but yeah, I nailed it, right? So anyways, and then I find this to be a better way, not better, but like a more intuitive way to work for me personally, because I like to give an image a lot of roll off. And I find that ramping it like this kind of gives me the look that I want. And so then this one is a color and density adjustment right here. So I turned up the density and the saturation a bunch with this color slice tool, which I find pretty useful. You can go in here and dial in different ones. Like we can add density to the yellows, because there's a lot of yellow in this image, right? We can pull density, we can add density, we can increase or decrease saturation, but I like them where they were pretty much. And then you can do the same to like the blues. We could increase the blue density here. I'm just kind of sliding while hovering over the image here. So we turn that down a smidge and then we up the, here we go. So we got blues are nice and popping. Our reds are already pretty much popping because I find red is always just real present on the M10D. I don't know what is going on there, but that's the way it looks. And so then I've got another couple of nodes that are in layer. And look at that. What does that do? Contrast. Because what I've got here is a ramp again, but I'm ramping the bottom and the top, and then I'm putting the pivot point, or the center of our ramp, pretty low, because it's kind of where the information's at. And what this is a blend mode of, or composite mode of soft light. So soft light, as if you remember from our last video, soft light adds contrast because it makes anything above the center value brighter and anything below the center value darker. So when we ramp it like this, we're making it so it's not really affecting pure black and it's not really affecting pure white, and it's doing most of its effect right here about 2/3 down, quarter of the way up maybe of the image, right? Pretty standard. So I'm going to hit Shift Option Z, and that'll punch me into 100%. And you can see we're really getting the contrast going here. I can see all the little, I haven't added any sharpness to this. That little 35, man, wide open, it is astonishingly sharp. But yeah, you can see a little spider web over here. And we've got what I read as a pretty natural looking green. Our blues and our whites are still, pretty neutral. We're looking pretty good. I mean, that's like dead on 103, 103, 103 in the red, green, and blue channels. 104, yeah, look at that. That's just dead on. And then our blacks are like pretty damn close. A little bit of shadow pollution, perhaps. 754, yeah, a little bit. Like I said, you get close. And then you got our bright orange from the marker paint over here. It's just popping out. And then our yellow, which is a subtly different yellow than the yellow of the dry grass. There's even another beer can back there that I hadn't noticed before. Cool. Looks really good. I'm going to hit Z again to go out to fit to screen. And look at that. In fact, let's even go Shift F and then Control Z. That's 100%. Move this over here. And what the hell? I don't want that. Stupid thing. Huh. That's annoying. Anyways, yeah, so looking at this, fairly full screen here. We were at 100%. We'll go back to 100%. There we go. Nope. 100%. Yeah, look at that. Just a rich, nice, contrasty image, but subtle, Or maybe not subtle. Maybe I'm losing my mind. But like the greens look natural, but like popping. All our colors over here are, on the verge of being oversaturated, but I wouldn't say quite oversaturated. The yellow grass is just golden summertime. And, but nothing looks like it has like a heavy cast. Like we don't see yellow in these colors, and in the greens, they're a smidge on the yellow side, but a little bit of yellow in your greens is not the end of the world. We got these branches that all look, branch colored, whatever that is. Sure, I'm not making a ton of sense here, but go Z, there we go. But, I find this to be just really cool. I like this. The other thing that helps, I think, too, working with a raw file in DaVinci Resolve is we're working in a 32-bit float environment. So everything is really accurate. What is going on here? What happened to this? Something weird happened. Hit undo. Nope. Huh. HSL qualifier. Did I click on something maybe? Yeah, so let's go like this. Low. Low. So I'll show you how to do this. Crank the low up, crank the high up. And then we're going to crank the low. Nope, crank the high down. And something like stay at? That looks pretty good. Yeah. Good times. Yep. So everything, yeah. Boy, really compelling content today. So anyways, I don't know. I just really like this image. Really liked this image when I took it yesterday. So then this last one is just a curve adjustment, which if I remember is a loom. Yep, it's a loom versus sat. So loom versus sat is just basically desaturating the blacks, ramping up to normal, and desaturating the whites, ramping up to normal. And we can take this, can adjust it like that, and adjust this one. So we're kind of near where all the information is. And that just gives it a little bit more of a filmic, I don't know, vibe. I didn't add any halation or anything to this because, as you can see, we're getting a glow, but it's like it's sharp still. So like I love that. It's just the Leica look. But yeah, I don't know if any of this is really useful to anybody, but this is what goes through my mind. Image neutrality to help you push a look, but keep it natural sort of at the same time. Yeah. Anyways, let me know if this was at all helpful. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, yeah, I'm thinking I'll have something a little more substantive hopefully next time, but I don't know, I think that's cool. Who can say? Maybe we'll do one little thing. Maybe we'll do one little thing real quick. So you know my other favorite trick that I like to do is we could pull just a little bit of red out of, and to pull it out you add a little bit to the green channel, pull a little bit of red out. Is that good? I don't know. It's going slow. Pull a little bit of red out of the blue channel. Yeah. Not doing a whole lot. Yeah, pull a little bit of, push a little bit of green into the red. Pull a little bit of blue out of the green. Yeah. It's something. Oh, that's why we're not seeing it. Good Lord. That's why we're not seeing it, because we didn't have the node turned on. Boy, oh boy. If anything, I like that a little better. Push a little blue into the red. Pull just a smidgen out of the green. Pull a teeny bit of green out of the red. Blue. See, now we screwed up our white balance. Yeah, I don't know. That's better. Leave it the way it was. Sometimes you can overwork an image. You don't want to do that. Anyways, so that is that. Not probably terribly interesting, but hopefully this video will sound a little better. I've noticed the audio levels on my recent videos have been a little bit low. So I got my mic right in front of my face today, and we got the webcam, the Sigma FP, doing its thing. And then, yeah, we've got image of crushed beer cans. So anyways, let me know what you're up to. Hopefully you can get out for a walk with your new Nikon. I know you got that new Nikon ZFC, about the cutest little retro style camera ever. I love retro style cameras. I love my is it a retro style camera, or is it just it's retro because it's a rangefinder? I don't know. This is my 35 mil and there we go. 35 mil rangefinder, like M10D. No screen on the back. Just the way I like it. Anyways, that is that. Stop rambling. Get to the point already. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, have a good weekend. I think I've said that 20 times already. See you next week. Let me know if this was at all interesting, helpful, or if it just raises more questions than answers. And I will see y'all next time. I'm thinking about making a separate video for discs and whatnot, because hopefully I'll get some discs in the mail today. Anyways, catch y'all later. Bye.